What's good, everybody? We're here with this the recap for James Chunky the Gale against Andre Resurrected Dirrell for the IBF 168-pound super middleweight championship. It was on PBC on NBC today, and it was an interesting fight, definitely. James Chunky the Gale pulls out the unanimous decision, 114 to 112 on two cards, and then one space age ridiculous card that had him winning 117 to 109. Now I scored the fight for Dirrell by 1 point. I had it 114 to 113. Biggest reason is because I'm not opposed to calling a round even. I think it's ridiculous for us to say that if neither man had a clear advantage in the round, that we have to pick someone to say they won the round. You know what I believe that opens the door for? It opens the door for you to pick the person that you want to win, and it also opens the door for you to kind of more or less go with whoever you felt had the momentum. Each round is a different chapter, and the entire fight is the book, and the result of the book is going to be told by what the result is of each chapter. You have to judge each chapter separately. So that's one of the reasons I think that if you don't see a clear advantage in a round, I don't see the problem of calling it 10-10. I don't know if there's a rule in place that says you can't do that. I'm actually going to look into that, because if that's the case, so that my scorecards will be more accurate, I'll start to do that myself. But I really think it's an error in the way that people approach judging. Nonetheless, Dirrell was dropped twice in the second round. I thought he was hurt decent. I don't think he was like out on his feet necessarily, but I do think he was definitely hurt. The second knockdown was kind of somewhat of a push as well as a punch, but you know, I don't have a real problem with it being called a knockdown. Dirrell, I felt, controlled the fight from maybe the 5th round through the 10th, or the 6th round through the 10th. But when you're down 3 points from the second round, and you know, it starts to, you know, you got a really big hole to dig out of. Now, I had him up relatively comfortably going into the 11th and 12th round, because in my opinion, James the Gale just stopped fighting. He fought as if he was trying to protect a lead, and turns out I guess he was, but I thought he was giving away precious rounds, and he really made the fight much closer than he needed to. But in the 11th and 12th round, he clearly outfought Dirrell. That was enough to close it to within 1 point on my card, but it was enough to give him the victory on 2 of the other cards, and then one card was so ridiculous he had to fight one, I guess, when he showed up that morning or whatever. It was weird, because if Dirrell fights in the 11th and 12th round, he more than likely wins a split decision, sans that crazy card. So he probably is the one who gets the benefit of the 114 to 112 scorecards if he only fights in the 11th and 12th round. In the 11th round, he started to go Philly shell for some crazy reason, and I wish so many fighters would stop doing that. The Philly shell does not protect you in itself. You have to have extraordinary reflexes, eyesight, and instincts to make that particular fight style effective, to make that defensive strategy effective. You're just not going to stand up there and roll the shoulder and think that everything's going to miss you like it misses Floyd. It doesn't go that way. And I've seen so many fighters, Andre Berto, Adrian Broner, and now Andre Dirrell, kind of fall victim to that. Now, Andre Dirrell didn't eat a big shot when he went Philly shell in the 11th round, but he ate some shots in a relatively uneventful round. And when you eat shots, and he had literally stood there in the middle of the round, in the middle of the ring, during the midpoint of the round, Philly shell, and let James the Gale wail away with some body shots, trying to throw some head shots. They were catching his arms and his shoulders. But in a round where there's not a lot going on, that means he won that round, you know. And then in the 12th round, it was really disappointing on Dirrell, from a Dirrell standpoint, and I'm sure his corner should have felt this way. The Gale came out as the man with intentions on trying to take and solidify the win, and Dirrell came out fighting passive. He was holding. He wanted to push more than punch, and he was backing up from the beginning, and he threw. I don't know how many punches he actually threw, but it wasn't a lot, and it clearly wasn't enough to win the round. So with Gale taking the last 2 rounds, that's why I tweeted this out, you know, during the fight. Any close decision, no matter how it went, who it went for, even if it was a draw, would have been a feasible decision. So I don't think that the Gale winning is terrible. I think him winning by 8 points is terrible. I think that's crazy, but it is what it is. The two judges saw it, him winning, you know, by 2 points. Essentially, they had it even going into the last 2 rounds, and Gale came out as the man more willing to do what he needed to do to win the fight. So there it is. It was an entertaining fight, though. Pretty entertaining fight. I wouldn't even mind seeing a rematch. We'll see what happens. But obviously, one of those guys, I mean, Gale is probably going to want a little bit of Andre Ward. I don't know how that's going to work out for him, but at some point he may want that. So that was it for this recap of Andre Dirrell taking on James Gale. We'll have more than likely another recap tonight for UFC 187. So you guys stay tuned for that. I appreciate you watching. God bless. Peace.